Hello, Stephen Wick here. I'm going to talk a little bit about mouthpiece cup shapes and a little bit about how this affects the articulation and sound. First of all, I think probably most people are aware of the fact that a shallow cup will give you a brighter sound and a deeper cup will give you a darker sound, and that's very much a matter of taste and what kind of music you're playing. One important element of the mouthpiece is the transition from the bottom of the cup into the bore. I call that the shoulder. In some mouthpieces, that's a very smooth, very open transition. So, for instance, in the Heidelberg tuba mouthpiece, that tends to be it just blends in at the bottom of the cup into the bore. In some mouthpieces, such as the ones we designed with Aaron Tyndall, they have a bit of a shoulder at the bottom of the cup. That's quite important because it gives a nice focus to the sound and also a little bit of a ping to the articulation. It just sort of cleans up the articulation a little bit. And these days, when tuba players tend to use very large instruments, certainly by my standards from what I was brought up with, people playing very large instruments these days. And you need clear articulation and you need a focus to the sound if you're playing a big 6-quarter tuba. And these mouthpieces really give that. So for any instrument, when you're choosing a mouthpiece, it might be worth looking at that sort of transition from the cup into the bore. If it's very, very blended, it'll make a nice sort of warm, friendly attack. If you're looking for a little bit more, a little bit more precision to the articulation, you might want to look out for a mouthpiece which has got a little bit more of a shoulder. When it comes to articulation on a brass instrument, forgive me if you've heard this 100 times before, but it's three things coming together. It's your embouchure, it's your breath, and it's the tongue. Now the embouchure, you vary the embouchure to suit the range, but you basically don't want to be interfering too much with that. Your breath and your tongue, you can vary to create the kind of articulation that you need. So I talked a little bit about fast air and slow air. That's very important. On an instrument like a tuba, which is very broad, it's conical bore, we generally play with quite slow air, but very broad, powerful stream of slow air. If you're playing a cylindrical instrument, like a trombone or trumpet, it's faster air. I know this because I occasionally play an instrument called the chimbasa, which is cylindrical. It's a contrabass trombone, and I really, really have to change the speed of my air from my normal tuba playing. I find the air is more of a fast stream. It's like a jet of air rather than a broad river of air. So bear that in mind. If you have a smaller bore mouthpiece, you probably want faster air, and that'll give you the sound that you want. The other element in there, of course, is the tongue. You need to vary your tongue position to get the clarity and the attack that you need. So for tuba players, we tend to use an attack which would be something like a do, especially in the low register, do, do, do. So you have a nice firm tongue, very open throat, and plenty of air behind it. I think for when you're playing a small instrument and you're playing in a higher register on a small instrument, the articulation is probably more ta, ta, ta. So a lighter tongue and a slightly smaller mouth shape maybe to add to the clarity and brilliance of the sound. But a good mouthpiece choice helps you produce the sound that you want, but do bear in mind you might have to adjust your articulation depending what kind of mouthpiece you're playing.